Have you ever stopped to think about what happens after, a crime scene is investigated or when a clandestine lab gets shut down?
Hmm.
We're going to be talking about professional remediation today, and more specifically, we'll be taking a deep dive into the work of Disaster Recovery Queensland.
Oh, interesting.
Right here in Southeast Queensland, these are the folks who step in after the investigators leave, and they're helping families reclaim their homes, their lives.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because it goes beyond just cleaning up, right? Like
Uh,
imagine you're a family and you're facing the situation. The investigators, they pack up, the yellow tape comes down, and you're just left there in this space that's been violated, right?
yeah.
A place that just holds these incredibly painful memories.
Heavy, heavy
Yeah,
burden.
it's a heavy burden. And that's exactly where Disaster Recovery Queensland steps in. They're not just, restoring the physical space, but they're really helping families begin to heal.
I can only imagine the emotional weight of that moment.
Yeah.
Like the investigators leave and then, bam, you're suddenly alone with this aftermath.
Yeah.
Disaster Recovery Queensland, they really emphasize that this work goes way beyond just bleach and a mop.
Oh, yeah.
It's this balance of thorough cleaning with, deep compassion for the trauma that people have experienced.
Yeah. And that's precisely where their expertise really shines through. They're not just cleaners. They
Mm.
are experts in biohazard remediation.
Wow.
They're trained to handle all sorts of potentially dangerous materials, blood, bodily fluids, chemicals, even the byproducts of drug production.
Oh, wow.
And these things, they pose serious health risks.
Yeah.
It requires this very specialized knowledge and equipment that you just wouldn't find in your average cleaning kit.
No. So it's a very specialized field
Oh, yeah.
requiring, I would say, both technical expertise
Uh-huh.
and just a really deep understanding of the emotional needs of the families involved.
Absolutely.
Can you walk us through the process? I mean, how do they actually approach a situation like this?
Sure. So Disaster Recovery Queensland, they outline this very methodical three-step process.
Okay.
First, they conduct an initial assessment of the scene.
Okay.
And this involves evaluating the extent of the contamination, determining what safety protocols are needed, and then meticulously documenting everything
Oh, yeah.
for any potential legal proceedings. You can imagine how crucial that documentation is,
I can imagine.
especially if there are legal ramifications down the line.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Making sure that chain of custody is maintained.
Exactly, exactly.
So what happens after that initial assessment?
Okay, so next comes the containment setup.
Okay.
So think of it like creating a sterile environment
Right.
within a space that's anything but sterile.
Right.
They'll erect biohazard barriers. They meticulously control the air quality to prevent any spread of contaminants. And they establish these really secure work zones to prevent cross-contamination.
So they're essentially sealing off the affected area
Exactly.
to prevent any further spread of hazardous materials.
Exactly.
That's got to be a really meticulous process.
Oh, yeah.
What does the actual remediation involve?
So the professional remediation itself, this is where the specialized cleaning, the decontamination, and structural restoration all take place.
Yeah.
So they use, very specific enzyme cleaners
Wow.
to break down biohazards like blood, making sure that no trace is left behind.
Wow.
And they might even conduct environmental testing just to guarantee that that space is truly safe for the family to return to.
That level of detail is incredible.
Ah.
Clearly not cutting corners.
No, not at all.
But Disaster Recovery Queensland also talks about the human impact of their work,
Yeah.
the support services they offer
Mm-hmm.
that go beyond just the physical cleanup. What does that entail?
Right. So this is where their commitment to Southeast Queensland really shines through.
Okay.
They understand the unique challenges that families in this region face.
Right.
And they offer this very tailored support to address those needs. We're talking family support coordination, helping families navigate the logistical and emotional hurdles, protecting their privacy during this difficult time, even assisting with insurance claims.
Wow.
They even connect families with local resources, therapists, support groups, whatever they need to begin that healing process. It really is about providing like a holistic approach to recovery.
Right.
Recognizing that the impact of these events, it goes way beyond just the physical space.
Right.
Disaster Recovery Queensland, they get it. That families in Southeast Queensland, they need more than just a clean house.
Yeah.
They need that support.
Yeah.
They need resources. They
Absolutely.
need a sense of understanding.
Yeah. And that brings up some interesting ethical considerations, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance that need for thorough decontamination
Mm-hmm.
with the potential for re-traumatizing the families?
Absolutely.
It's a delicate situation.
Yeah, and it seems like they address that through compassionate communication.
Right.
So it's not just about the technical steps,
Hmm.
but how they interact with those families.
Right.
They emphasize active listening,
Yeah.
acknowledging the pain,
Hmm.
and working in a way that respects their dignity and privacy.
So emotional intelligence is just as vital as technical expertise in this line of work.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
not just dealing with, hazardous materials. They're dealing with broken hearts,
Yeah.
shattered lives.
Exactly. Imagine walking into someone's home after a traumatic event.
Right.
You can't just, barge in there with a hazmat suit
Right.
and start spraying chemicals.
Right.
You have to approach the situation with empathy, with understanding.
It makes you wonder about the little things,
Hmm.
the details that might seem insignificant,
Yeah.
but could actually hold immense emotional value for a family.
Right.
What kind of sensitivity do they show in those situations?
Well, imagine like a child's toy, found amidst all the chaos,
Right.
a remediation expert. They might just gently set it aside, recognizing that emotional significance.
Yeah.
Or they might take extra care to preserve family photos or other irreplaceable items.
Right.
It's those small acts of kindness that can really make a world of difference.
It's about seeing the people behind the mess,
Mm-hmm.
the stories behind the trauma.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the initial cleanup either, right?
Right.
Disaster Recovery Queensland talks about that ongoing support,
Mm-hmm.
helping families connect with therapists,
Yeah.
counselors,
Mm-hmm.
or support groups.
Absolutely.
They're there for the long haul, recognizing that the healing process takes time.
Yeah, that long-term commitment is crucial.
Right.
It's about empowering these families to rebuild their lives and move forward.
Right.
And it's not just emotional support. They also offer practical assistance,
Right.
like helping families navigate insurance claims or connect with legal resources.
So they're acting as advocates for these families,
Absolutely.
guiding them through a really complex
Yeah,
and often overwhelming process.
right.
That must be incredibly reassuring
Absolutely.
for families who are already dealing with so much.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
Crime, drug use.
Yeah.
These are sensitive topics
Right.
that often carry a lot of shame and judgment.
Yeah.
How does Disaster Recovery Queensland help families navigate that aspect?
That's a great point. Privacy and discretion must be paramount.
Right.
Disaster Recovery Queensland, they operate with the utmost discretion
Yeah.
because they recognize that the last thing these families need is for their neighbors to know what happened in their home. So they work quietly, efficiently,
Yeah.
and without drawing unnecessary attention to themselves or the families they're serving.
It's almost like they're operating in the shadows,
Yeah.
providing a vital service
Yeah.
without seeking recognition or fanfare.
Precisely. Their focus is solely on the well-being of the families.
Right.
And they understand that true healing
Yeah.
often requires privacy and a sense of normalcy.
Thinking about the long-term implications here,
Mm-hmm.
do you think the work that these companies do can actually help prevent future incidents?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you create a safe, clean environment,
Yeah.
could that help break a cycle of trauma?
That's a fascinating question.
Right.
It's hard to say for sure,
Right.
but I think there's definitely a preventative element to their work.
Okay.
By restoring a sense of order and safety,
Mm-hmm.
they're creating an environment that's more conducive to healing, to
Right.
growth. And
Right.
by providing families with those resources and
Right.
support,
Right.
they're empowering them to make those positive changes in their lives.
So it's not just about cleaning up the past.
Mhm.
It's about building a brighter future.
Exactly. And Disaster Recovery Queensland, they take that mission seriously.
Yeah.
They even offer future preparation services, helping families develop plans and strategies
Okay.
to mitigate risks in the future.
Wow. So it's about giving them the tools and the knowledge
Yeah,
they need to create a safer, healthier environment.
absolutely.
That's a powerful testament to their commitment to the community, going above and beyond to not only address the immediate needs, but to empower those families to break free from those cycles of negativity.
Right.
It makes you wonder about the people behind this work,
Mm-hmm.
the individuals who choose to dedicate their lives to such a challenging
Yeah,
but rewarding profession.
right.
What kind of person steps into these situations day after day?
It takes a special kind of person, someone
Yeah.
with a unique blend of skills and qualities.
Right.
You need technical expertise, of course,
Yeah.
but you need empathy, compassion, discretion,
Right.
and a deep understanding of the human condition.
It's not just a job. It's a calling, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. These individuals are not just cleaners. They're healers, in a sense. They're stepping into the aftermath of trauma.
Right.
Helping people piece their lives back together.
It takes incredible strength and resilience to do that kind of work.
Oh, it does.
Taste the darkness and help others find the light.
And that's what makes Disaster Recovery Queensland so special.
Right.
They recognize it takes a special kind of person to do this.
Yeah.
And they provide their team with the support and the resources they need to thrive both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
They foster a culture of compassion.
Yeah.
Not just for the families they serve,
Right.
but for their own employees as well.
So it's a company that truly walks the walk.
Exactly.
Embodying the values they promote.
Right. And that commitment to their team, it's reflected in the quality of their work and the positive impact they have on the community.
And that leads us perfectly into the final part of our deep dives.
Okay.
We've explored the technical aspects of professional remediation, the ethical considerations, the profound impact this work has on families.
Right.
Now, let's turn our attention to the individuals behind the scenes,
Okay.
the unsung heroes who make it all possible.
Yeah.
What motivates them? What challenges do they face?
Yeah.
And how do they find meaning in their work? We've talked a lot about the technical side of things and the emotional weight of, professional remediation.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious about the people who actually do this work, especially here in Southeast Queensland.
Right.
What kind of person chooses this path, walks into these difficult situations day after day?
I imagine it takes, a certain blend of resilience and compassion.
Right.
I mean, you're dealing with the aftermath of trauma,
Yeah.
the remnants of situations that, frankly, most people would just shy away from. It's
Right.
not a job for the faint of heart.
I can imagine thinking about those initial moments,
Yeah.
arriving at a scene that's been cordoned off, the air thick with the weight of what's transpired there.
Right.
What do you think goes through their minds at that moment?
Well, on one hand, they have a job to do.
Yeah.
They have a responsibility to restore safety and order to a space that's been so thoroughly disrupted.
Right.
But on the other hand, I imagine there's also a sense of empathy,
Oh.
an understanding that they're walking into someone's life at a very vulnerable moment.
Absolutely. And it's not just about cleaning up physical debris.
Right.
It's about navigating, that emotional wreckage as well.
Absolutely.
How do they balance that detachment that's needed to handle the task at hand
Yeah.
with the sensitivity required to interact with these families who are hurting?
That's where the real skill comes in, I think.
Yeah.
That ability to compartmentalize
Right.
without becoming callous.
Right.
To recognize that while they're dealing with the aftermath for the families involved, this is still so raw, so real.
Absolutely. It's like being a first responder in a way,
Yeah.
witnessing the aftermath of trauma and having to maintain that composure
Right.
while offering support.
Yeah, I imagine the emotional toll can be significant.
Oh, for sure.
And, Disaster Recovery Queensland seems to recognize that. They really emphasize the importance of providing support for their team,
Right.
ensuring they have access to counseling services,
Okay.
peer support networks,
Right.
and, creating a company culture that encourages open communication about the challenges of the job.
It's crucial to acknowledge that, these individuals are exposed to a lot of darkness.
Right.
And they need resources to process those experiences.
Yeah.
To maintain their own well-being.
Absolutely. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
And, it's not just about preventing burnout.
Right.
It's about ensuring that they can continue to do this vital work with the compassion and sensitivity it demands.
Beyond the emotional toll, what are some of the, unique challenges of working in professional remediation, specifically in Southeast Queensland?
Well, this region has its own unique characteristics, from the climate and geography to the diverse communities that it encompasses.
Yeah.
So Disaster Recovery Queensland likely deals with a wide range of situations, each with its own set of complexities.
Yeah, just think about the recent flooding that we've experienced here.
Right.
That must add another layer of complexity.
Oh, absolutely.
Dealing with water damage, mold,
Yeah.
and the potential for hazardous materials to be spread even further.
Oh, yeah. And you have to factor in that emotional impact on communities that have
Yes.
already been through so much, that
Yeah.
sense of loss, the displacement,
Hmm.
the uncertainty. Those are all things that remediation teams need to be sensitive to.
It's about understanding the context,
Hmm.
recognizing that you're not just cleaning up a building,
Yeah,
you're helping a community heal.
exactly. And that's where that local knowledge and experience becomes so valuable. Right.
Disaster Recovery Queensland, with their deep roots in Southeast Queensland,
Mm-hmm.
they likely have this deep understanding
Yeah.
of the unique challenges this region faces.
So it's not just about technical expertise.
Right.
It's about having that connection to the community, a
Yeah,
sense of empathy for the people you're serving.
exactly. It's about recognizing that behind every job,
Mm-hmm.
there's a story,
Yeah.
a family, a life that's been disrupted.
Yeah.
And it's about approaching that situation with respect,
Right.
compassion,
Mm-hmm.
and a genuine desire to help.
We've explored so much in this deep dive.
Yeah,
The technicalities of the job, the ethical considerations,
right.
the emotional toll,
Right.
and the vital role these professionals play in helping families and communities recover from trauma.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
I hope they gain a deeper appreciation for the unseen heroes,
Mm-hmm.
the ones who work tirelessly behind the scenes
Right.
to restore order
Yeah.
and bring a sense of normalcy back to people's lives.
Yeah.
These individuals often operate in the shadows,
Right.
but their work is vital, meaningful, and deeply impactful.
Absolutely.
The next time you see a Disaster Recovery Queensland vehicle out there,
Yeah.
just remember the dedication and compassion it represents.
Mm-hmm.
It's a commitment to healing,
Yeah.
to restoring and rebuilding lives, one home at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time.
Beautifully said. It's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of moments,
Yeah,
there are people dedicated to bringing light back into the world.
absolutely.
And for that, they deserve our respect,
Mm,
our gratitude,
yeah.
and our unwavering support.